Hello, family. This is Brother Sharif, and this is another episode of the Family Meeting. Today, we're having a conversation with Mr. Kenneth of Albany, Georgia. He is the District Director for Representative Sanford Bishop. Today, we're going to talk with him about what Mr. Bishop is working on and Mr. Bishop's campaign so that we'll be better informed when we get to the polls in November. Tune in. Take notes. All right, we're good to go. All right. Again, thank you so much for taking time to speak with me today.
Yes, sir.
Brother Sharif is what I vlog and blog under, and the purpose of us sitting down and having this conversation is to make sure that voters in Southwest Georgia are encouraged to come out, and I believe that they're already familiar with Congressman Bishop's name, but knowing what he's been working on and how long he's been working for the community will help them overcome some of the voter depression that they've been experiencing over the past few cycles. But before we begin, I'd like a quick overview of who you are so the people who aren't familiar with you will know a little bit about who you are. And correct me if I get anything wrong. You are an Albany, Georgia native.
Correct.
Monroe Comprehensive High School product, as well as a Golden Ram.
That's right.
Albany State. And you have a JD from Nova Southeastern?
Correct. You got it.
All right. Great, great. And you're well decorated and recognized by organizations all throughout the region. You serve on boards. And most importantly, for right now, you are the district director of Representative Bishop's district. You represent the whole district, correct?
Correct. Correct.
All right. So you work in the whole district and all of their offices throughout the district. The district is comprised of how many counties? Is it 19?
29. 29 counties.
29. Yes. You stretch all the way from the Florida border and Alabama border in the corner up to Columbus, over to the western edge of Macon, correct?
Correct. You got it. You got it.
You cover all of my folks. I'm a Georgia Southwest.
In our district, to put it in perspective, it's the size of the state of Rhode Island.
Yes, sir. It's a big area, and it's the second congressional district.
Yes, second. Correct.
All right, great. And a quick overview of who we're focusing on today. We're looking at Congressman Sanford Bishop Jr. He's a 14-term U.S. representative, working on being a 15-term, and he represents, is it the largest district or is it?
It's the largest in size, in geographic location.
Not in population.
Well, most congressional districts, they try to have the same number of constituents. So they try to, each congressional district is give or take a few, about 730,000 people.
Okay, that makes sense. And just to look at, basically, when you look at Mr. Bishop's website, his objective, his political objective that you basically get from this is to create a higher, better quality of life for all citizens by promoting jobs and a stronger, more diversified community, opportunities for rural areas, better education, safe and secure communities, a clean environment, affordable and accessible health care, sustainable agriculture, energy independence, and a strong national defense while remaining in budget.
Correct.
I think that's very impressive because some people feel like, hey, we need to do this stuff. It doesn't matter how much it costs. We just want to get it done. So if we could please talk a little bit about what he's working on right now. We have military installations in his district, from the logistics base in Albany with the Marines to Fort Benning. In addition to that, we have plenty of farmland, and he's gone to bat for farmers, the military, as well as several other groups of people. Is there something in particular that he's working on right now that we need to make sure the people are aware of?
Well, of course, everybody is consumed with this coronavirus.
Yes, sir.
So right now, one of his main focus is trying to get another relief package through Congress. The Democrats voted for another relief package, but unfortunately, That relief package has not made its way through the Senate and has not made it to the president's desk. We're hearing from our constituents on a daily basis, those who are small businesses who need more assistance to keep their doors open. We're hearing from people who are concerned that now that the moratorium on evictions has run out, can something be done to extend that? I know that the president signed an executive order on Saturday saying that we would suspend it, but there's been some dispute as to whether, you know, that can hold up, whether that can stop people from being evicted. In the last package that the Democrats passed, there was $175 billion to help people with their mortgages, to help them with their evictions, and to extend that moratorium. And of course, we're hearing from a lot of people about the unemployment benefits. That extra $600 a week has now run out. The president has signed something on Saturday saying that, you know, he'll extend it by another $400, but there's some confusion as to how that will actually work out. And so right now his main focus is on trying to get that package through, because people are still hurting. People are concerned about their home security. They're concerned about their food security. They're concerned about their financial security. They're concerned about saving their business. Farmers are concerned about whether they'll be able to keep farming. So right now, that's his main focus, trying to get that final package through to give the American people and the people of the district, the people of Georgia, some relief as we try to get through this virus.
Exactly. This is understandable. A lot of people are struggling right now, and he's working on making sure they have the money they need to keep roofs over their head and food on the table. Another group that I see that he focuses on is teachers. And when I think about education, I think about how many districts in your district are learning remotely and using distance education to make it through. And one of the big obstacles that we've been seeing is internet access. And I believe that this is something that he's been working on, bringing high-speed internet to rural areas in Southwest Georgia as well. Is there anything new in that area right now?
Well, he is the chair of the USDA Agriculture Subcommittee of Appropriations. And one of the things that the congressman has been very passionate about over the years is to make sure that rural communities have access to internet, to try to bridge the so-called digital divide. He's always been so fond of saying that it should not matter what zip code a young person grows up in. They should have the same opportunities as somebody from an urban zip code. And of course, we have 3 rural centers in our congressional district: Albany, Columbus, and Macon. But the other 26 counties, the other 26 communities are rural. And we hear from them very often about the fact that, you know, internet access is not the best. And in a situation now where a lot of school districts are starting out remotely, it is very, very important that we have internet access for those communities. And that's something that the congressman has been focused on, not just now, but throughout his career in Congress.
Yes, sir. Now, on the issues, he has 10 issues that are laid out on his website. These issues include agriculture, criminal justice, defense, economy and jobs, education, environment and energy, health, tax relief, transportation, and the veterans, of course. Now, most of us are very familiar on what he's doing with agriculture. He's trying to make sure that farmers have what they need, as well as following events like Hurricane Michael. We had issue getting relief funds down here. How has that worked out? Have we seen the relief funds that were set aside for us yet? Because I know that impacted a large area from Bainbridge on up.
Correct. And as you probably know, it took a long while for us to get that relief, but we ended up getting with the whole package $19.1 billion. But even after the bill was signed, it's taken a while for people to get the relief that they were looking for. And so I think most of the relief has gotten into the hands that it needs to. And there are a few cases out there where, for whatever reason, whether it's bureaucratic red tape or whether they didn't meet the qualifications for the relief, we still are hearing from constituents that have not gotten any relief. But we continue to work hard on those particular instances, and hopefully we'll be able to get those resolved in short order.
Okay. And also, when I think about agriculture and I think about some of the places that are in his district, I think about Plains, which makes me think of President Jimmy Carter and his peanuts.
Correct.
I also
Absolutely.
have some interest in Early County, which we think about peanuts there now too, unfortunately. And following the collapse of the peanut industry there, has anything filled that gap, or has the peanut industry in that area recovered, or is there anything being done legislatively? It's been a while now, I know.
Yeah, it's been a while since the salmonella outbreak down there that caused some issues with the peanut industry. But I think for the most part, they have bounced back. There are a few cases where, some are still struggling, but for the most part, they bounced back and on the right track right now.
Okay. Now, I'm particularly interested in criminal justice.
Yes.
Because of what's going on, obviously.
Absolutely.
And so, and I'm wondering what the congressman's current position on it is. I know he's always backed our law enforcement, which we need them to be supported and paid properly, so they feel encouraged to do good jobs. But is there anything else that's been added to his stance in light of what we've been seeing as far as police brutality?
Yeah, well, absolutely. He is in support of the George Floyd Policing Act. Of course, we know what happened to Mr. Floyd and so many others like Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery in Brunswick, Georgia, and many others across the country. Eric Garner, Michael Brown, Breonna Taylor, and so he supported that policing act. Unfortunately, it has not become law, but it did do a few things. It ends qualified immunity for police officers. It puts an end to no-knock warrants, which is the situation in which Breonna Taylor was killed in Louisville. It creates independent prosecutors for cases involving police misconduct. It also ends chokeholds, bans chokeholds, as we saw with Mr. Floyd for 8 minutes and 46 seconds and others across the country. It bans chokeholds, and it gives police department grants for banning chokeholds, and also establishes a database for police who are accused of misconduct. It'll create a national database. So unfortunately, that hasn't become law. It's stuck in the Senate. Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina was leading the effort in the Senate, but unfortunately, they could not come to an agreement. So right now, it appears to be on the back burner. But hopefully, it will become law soon.
And we've spoken to the economy and jobs a little bit, but have we missed anything? Like I said, I focus on everything from Bainbridge to Blakely on up to Columbus and Albany and Macon. Now, I think about them deepening the ports in Savannah, and I keep thinking to myself, there's an inland port in Bainbridge.
Correct.
You know, has anyone ever floated the idea that you know of that, hey, maybe we could do something to help bring more jobs to the Bainbridge area?
Well, that is something. That is something that has been discussed, but we haven't been able to push it as we have wanted to. Because of course, a lot of the focus has been on Savannah, because of course Savannah's a bigger city, a bigger port. But you bring up a very good point, and maybe that's something we need to try to push in the future.
And I know we probably need to get some state level and county level people down there to bring that up and help push that idea also before we start reaching out to the federal government. But I was just curious. All right. So now, is there anything else on economy and jobs or education? I know he's done a lot to help protect teachers' jobs and prevent
Yeah,
furloughs and things of that nature.
exactly. And you know, the main focus on education right now is just making sure, through as we've already discussed, internet, making sure that those school systems that are starting remotely, that our young people have access to internet, and also when they do have to return to school, to in person, that they have all of the equipment that they need, whether it's masks, whether it's sanitizer, whether it's disinfectant, making sure they have all of the tools that they need to be successful once they return to an in-person learning environment.
All right. And still on education, both of you are HBCU products.
Yes.
I believe he has an undergraduate degree or a degree from Morehouse. He's a
Correct.
Morehouse man, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He is.
And when I think about the AUC, I've spent majority of my life in the Atlanta region. I think of failed HBCUs, and I know that I believe he's on the HBCU caucus, as
Correct.
well as the caucus that focuses on fraternities. Do you
Correct.
know if there's anything new that's being done to help out our struggling HBCUs?
Well, I know, of course, they got some funding from the CARES Act recently. Part of the formula for that particular funding is based on how many of your students have Pell Grants. So there was some funding there. It's something that's an issue. It's something that needs to be propped up more, because, you know, a lot of our HBCUs are struggling for various reasons. Could be of course, they don't have the endowments as some of the other bigger universities, and some of that is a product of alumni giving. So, but it's something that the congressman is going to be focused on in the coming years. And of course, he's an HBCU graduate, so he understands the importance of making sure that they survive.
Yeah, I know you know all about that giving. You're on the alumni board for Albany State, aren't you?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yes, sir. So moving on, environment and energy. There are a few places throughout your district that have been focusing on alternative energy. I believe Sumter County has a solar field there now, or somewhere in that area, and several other places. These things are popping up and being plugged into the grid. Is there anything else there that's being worked on?
Well, not right now, but we anticipate a lot of stuff that we would be normally focused on, normally trying to deal with right now.
Table because
everything is our main focus is getting this virus under control, and so things like energy and other things will eventually come back to the forefront. But right now, our focus is trying to fight this virus and trying to get our lives to some sense of normalcy.
Yes, sir. And that brings me to healthcare and tax relief. Yes. Because these have become focuses again. And we think about the Affordable Care Act, which the congressman is a supporter of.
Absolutely.
And has worked to protect. Are we doing anything to beef that up and further protect that and expand that at this time? Because had it been in place, we may have been able to help a lot of the people that we've lost and that are struggling.
Yeah, and one of the things, and I'm going to talk about it from a statewide perspective. One of the things that has hurt this state and by extension our district is the fact that Georgia is one of the states that has not expanded Medicaid or Medicare. There are many people that could have benefited if Georgia had decided to expand it, because from the congressman's perspective, it was a good deal, because the federal government would have paid 90% of the costs for people's insurance, and the state would have been on the hook for maybe 10% of their costs. But at the time and now, the state is saying that they cannot afford to do this. But unfortunately, you know, we pay for it in other ways if a person does not have access to health care. There's something called uncompensated care. When a person goes to the emergency room, the hospital has an obligation. They have to treat them whether they have insurance or don't have insurance. So every year, hospitals lose money in what we call uncompensated care. We've had several hospitals across our district that have closed because, in the congressman's opinion, mostly because Georgia did not expand Medicaid. You got the hospital over in Randolph County that is slated to close in October because they just could not afford to stay open. Several years ago, we had the hospital to close in Montezuma. And so we are trying to make sure that everybody has access to health care. Because if you're not a healthy person, you cannot be a productive citizen at your job. It has a ripple effect. So the congressman understands the importance of health care. He took a very tough vote back in 2010 when the Affordable Care was not very popular. It's not as popular as it is now. But health care affects everything that we do in our lives, and the congressman understands that.
All right. And the tax relief, really quickly. I believe one of the executive orders that the president signed recently was not a cancellation or a complete pause on taxes. It was a suspension that it sounds like.
Of the payroll tax.
Yeah, the payroll tax that you're going to have to pay back at a later date.
Exactly. I mean, it sounds good right now, but eventually people will have to pay it back. And also, the payroll tax funds Social Security.
Yes.
So if that's suspended, that means that those funds are not going into Social Security right now. And there have been some issues as to how long Social Security can remain solvent under the current structure in which we are paying money into the program.
And is there anything new being done for our veterans? Because even though we're struggling to get a handle of COVID-19, there's still some moves being made with our military abroad, bases being closed, and
exactly. And we talked about jobs in any community, especially in the 2nd Congressional District. We have 3 bases either in the district or close to the district.
Yes.
Of course, Marine Base in Albany, Fort Benning in Columbus, and Warner Robins that is, of course, very close to Macon. And of course, in all of those communities, those bases are the economic engines of the community, bringing billions of dollars. And over the years, the congressman has fought to keep those bases in our district. But also, he's been a supporter of our men and women in uniform, making sure that they have all of the tools that they need to be successful. And also, when you talk about veterans, one of the big things that we do in our office is we try to help individuals who are having trouble with their VA benefits, or having trouble getting the care that they need, or having their ratings upgraded within the system. So the military and veterans is an important part of what we do, and the congressman has always tried to do whatever he can to be helpful to them because of the sacrifice they have made and are making right now.
All right, thank you. Now, with the unfortunate passing of Representative John Lewis, I believe that makes Representative Bishop the senior congressman from the state.
Yes. He's the dean of the Georgia delegation now.
Yeah, he's the dean of the Georgia delegation. So he was already well respected. He has a committee assignment on the Appropriations Committee, which I believe is one of the most powerful committees
it is
in Congress. So he's doing a lot for us, but regardless of what he's doing for us, he always seems to encounter these interesting challenges. I remember when I was at Georgia Southwestern in Americas, he faced a challenger that couldn't even tell us how to pass a bill. But now with this new challenger he's facing, people are bringing up things like the campaign funds investigation. Has that been resolved?
No, it's still ongoing. And the congressman's admitted he's made some mistakes, but it's an ongoing situation. And when he was alerted to it, he made the necessary corrective actions. And
we know he paid some money back, and he's cleaning up accounting practices. So It's not like he's ignoring it. When he became aware of it, he started taking steps to rectify that issue. So hopefully our voters don't get distracted by that. I want to give the floor to you during these last few minutes. I know that you're a busy man and we're in the middle of this cycle right now, but could you let us know how to get to Representative Bishop's platform and information? Is there anything else that you would like for us to know or believe we should know? The majority of the people, the younger voters in that area, they may be familiar with his name, but he's been in office for longer than the youngest ones have been alive.
Yeah. Well, the first thing, one of the major things that we do in our congressional office is we try to help people. And so we have 3 offices, 3 district offices. We have an office in Albany, we have an office in Macon, we have an office in Columbus. And our offices are there to help people, whether they have issues with Social Security, whether they have issues with VA, IRS, INS, anything to deal with the federal government. We have caseworkers in all of our offices that deal with these issues. So that's the first thing I would like people to know. But just to give some history on Congressman Bishop, he graduated from Morehouse College in 1968. He was the president of the Student Government Association in 1968. And of course, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was also a graduate of Morehouse College. And 1968 was the year that Dr. King was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee. So Congressman went on to Emory Law School in 1971, and he became a civil rights lawyer in 1972. He's an Earl Warren Fellow with the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, and he's been an elected official since 1976. So every year since 1976, he's been on the ballot in the state of Georgia. So he is a dedicated public servant, and he likes to say what he does as a ministry. It is a ministry of public service, and he does whatever he can to help his constituents, regardless of their political affiliation. And that's the kind of public servants that we need in this country.
Yeah, I know he likes to work with everyone. He's a member of Kappa Alpha Psi, isn't he?
That's correct.
I recall him catching a young Kappa's cane when he came to visit GSW, who lost control of his cane. It was an interesting moment. And he works with you. You're an Alpha, correct?
Correct. I'm an Alpha.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So
we work well
together. Able to work with everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So we want Mr. Bishop in office forever, but do you have sights on following him if he ever decides to retire?
Well, I'm just doing what I'm doing now. I've been working with him for 19 years now.
Yes, sir.
20 years next year. So, I mean, right now, I'm just focused on helping him carry out his mission, and whatever is in store for me in the future will be.
All right. We'll be following and looking forward to it. I want to thank you so much for your time, Mr. Cutts, and helping us to get a better understanding of what Mr. Bishop is working on and dealing with at this time. You have a great evening, okay, sir?
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Family, thank you for tuning in for another episode of the Family Meeting. Also want to thank Mr. Kenneth Cutts for taking time out of his busy schedule to discuss Representative Sanford Bishop, his campaign, and what he's currently working on for the people of the 2nd Congressional District of Georgia, all of those people down there in Southwest Georgia. We're not going to sit out any elections, especially not this November. It's important that you do your due diligence to make sure you know everyone who's available for you to vote for. If you have any other questions about what we discussed today, reach out to me. and stay tuned for the next episode of the family meeting.